Okay, as usual, I want to do another quick video. I think a lot of people trying to play these gacha games with Xbox, there's a lot of people trying to play gacha games with the Xbox One X right now. The typical Microsoft haters that, there's hordes and hordes and hordes and millions and millions and millions of these guys online that just live for hating Xbox. A lot of Sony fanboys. Blockbuster Critic, I think, is one reviewtechUSA mentioned. That guy just makes me sick to my stomach. But that guy just hates everything Microsoft does constantly. He tries to always come off as some sort of unbiased gamer, but of course he hates everything Microsoft does. He lives to tear down Microsoft. So what a surprise. I was watching this reviewtechUSA video and he mentioned something, Blockbuster Critic or whatever his name is. I've seen a few of his videos in the past. And that guy just makes me sick. And, ReviewTech was talking about how, he's not excited for the Xbox One X. Big fucking shocker, ReviewTech. The guy who bleeds Japanese Sony blood, which I always think the American fanboys of Sony are funny as shit, because if Japan had won World War II, the Japanese probably would have them all in concentration camps right now. And here, 80 years later after World War II, they're all sitting there, going to the wall, shilling for a Japanese corporation. It's just so unnatural. But anyways, never mind all that. And not to mention the Japanese are arguably have a lot of history of racial discrimination, and you got all these black guys on YouTube that are just go to the wall for Sony. I remember when Sony, I think Toyota or somebody, built plants a few years ago, these automobile manufacturing plants. There was a big scandal about how it wasn't even a big scandal, but there was a kind of a little mini. Most people probably don't know this, but there's basically an accusation that the Japanese were looking around for American cities that had a low percentage of black people in the population to put their automobile manufacturing plants, when they started putting like Toyota plants in Texas and things like that. And, I'm sure it's true. It's one of those things I didn't look into that much at the time. I just remember some few little tiny newspaper articles about it at the time. And it's one of those things I'm not going to sit there and argue out the details, but in my heart of hearts, I know it's true. I guarantee you the Japanese did that, They were saying, we want to find American cities with the lowest percentage of black people in the, major cities to put our automobile manufacturing plants, That's what Toyota did. And then another thing is... there's a gamer on YouTube. His name is, what the heck's his name? Luke something. I forgot it. Luke. He's a retro gamer. I haven't seen his videos in a while, actually. It's interesting. He's an interesting guy. Luke, what the heck was his name? It's Luke something, and he's a big retro gamer. He doesn't give a crap about this Xbox PS4 stuff. I mean, I think he plays modern games, but his main focus of his channel is like finding old arcade games and fixing them up, arcade boards. He lives in Japan. He's an English teacher in Japan. He's an American, obviously. And then, he solders new capacitors on them and gets them working and all that jazz. And he makes videos about it. What's this fuck? I can't remember his name. His channel name or last name. But he made a video one time that was really enlightening to me a couple years ago. It was all about how difficult it is about living in Japan and things, and how difficult it is for Americans to get a normal apartment in Japan. And it was amazing. Like, can you imagine if this went on in the United States? This was a video in like 2015. This is not like old news or something. He was talking about how the Japanese basically have like segregated apartments for foreigners. Like, if you're a foreigner, they slot you into certain apartments. And if you want to get like a normal Japanese apartment with all the other Japanese people, you have to go through all these hoops, because they have this image of Americans as like these loud, obnoxious people. And they don't want them living with them, I guess. And this is real stuff. This is like apparently not even hidden. They have certain like segregated for Americans apartment complexes and stuff. And in order to get like a regular apartment complex, you have to have like 7,000. This guy's like pretty Japanese. He's an English teacher in Japan, so he speaks like really good Japanese. And, you have to have like 75,000 references, and you have to go through hell just to get a normal apartment in Japan. Can you imagine if that was the case in the United States? If we had apartments like, oh, if you're Japanese or if you're German and you come over here, you get a certain apartment, and if you try to just get a normal apartment with everybody else, oh, we're gonna make it hell for you. Can you imagine if the United States did that? But anyway, so yeah, okay, that's all to the side as usual. I get off on these tangents, but it's just funny seeing these African Americans on YouTube supporting Sony to me. But be that as it may, and not only supporting Sony, but just dedicating their lives to selling products for Sony, basically. But let's go back to the point of this video, and it's probably a rebuttal or reviewtechUSA video here, because he says a few things that kind of annoy me. First of all, he's playing these gotcha games a little bit again about the Xbox One X, where he's saying, oh, Microsoft promised us 4K, and we're getting games like AC Origins and Anthem that Digital Foundry is showing are not true 4K. Oh, they're not delivering. Okay, it's bullshit, because, well, it's not bullshit, and I get that there's a lot of Sony haters, and that's one of the main tacks they're trying to take. They're trying to, trying to make these big headlines of like, what was the game? There's a game recently. Oh, Destiny 2 to run 30 FPS on Xbox One. That was a Bungie decision. It was a CPU-related decision. Anyone with a brain should know it. Why aren't they focusing on the PS4 Pro only delivering 30 frames per second in Destiny? But no, it's all about, oh, Xbox One X failed. Every game should be 60 FPS and 4K on Xbox One X. Let's hold it to this unrealistic standard. Now, I get that Microsoft did bring a little bit of it on themselves with their talk about native 4K. So I think some of it's natural, but of course some of it is just driven by these hordes of Sony fanboys on NeoGAF and the gaming YouTubes that just hate Microsoft, and it's just so funny. They're trying to play this gotcha game like, oh, Xbox One X didn't do this game at 60 FPS. Oh, Xbox. Shut up, Alexa. God damn. Shut up. Fucking Alexa. God bless. Alexa, stop. For that fucking Amazon Echo, and it just turned on and annoyed the shit out of me. Anyways, what was it? What was I ranting about? Oh yeah, so there's people trying to play gotcha games, and they're playing that old game of let's put up a standard of perfect, and Xbox One X is perfect. It's a piece of shit. Of course they're trying to set that up because they like Sony and everything. Especially, I've seen a lot of it on NeoGAF, and like I said, where's these gotcha headlines about PS4 Pro? Where were the headlines on PS4 Pro came out about? Oh, this game's 30 FPS on PS4 Pro. Oh, this game's checkerboard on PS4 Pro. It's not true 4K. There weren't any. So the easiest way to beat this hypocrisy is just shine it on them and say, well, what about PS4 Pro? Because they're all Sony fanboys, even though they won't admit it. They're not just uninterested observers of the situation. They're Sony fanboys mostly, pretty much all of them that are trying to downplay the Xbox One X. So all you gotta do is say, okay, well, what about PS4 Pro then? Oh, well, that doesn't, that's different. Oh, no, it's not. Okay, I get that Sony didn't hype 4K as much. I don't remember if they did it all with PS4 Pro. They really didn't hype PS4 Pro as much at all. But I think at the end of the day, Microsoft is winning with this, because this is, again, a tangent. Maybe I shouldn't get into it in this video. But basically, Microsoft is really hyping this Xbox One X as super powerful. It's making everybody want one. I know it's damn sure making me want one. Sony didn't really hype the PS4 that much. They just kind of threw it out there. And that's for better or worse. But I would go ahead and submit that it's smarter to do what Microsoft is doing. They've generated, in my opinion, a lot more hype for Xbox One X. They've been front and center. Oh, look at all this power we have, this and that. Sony never really did that as much with PS4 Pro that I noticed. Or maybe they did, and the Sony fanboys, PS4 Pro didn't exist for long, that we didn't know that Scorpio was more powerful and coming. Because I remember about the same time PS4 Pro was officially outed, all the rumors came out, and then Sony officially admitted it, or whatever it was. There were some leaked documents. almost at the same time, if not maybe a month later, there was talk of, oh, well, Microsoft's coming out with this more powerful. There was heavy rumors of the Scorpio already. So there was pretty much never a time that PS4 didn't exist in our minds, PS4 Pro, I mean, that we didn't know that the next Xbox was going to be more powerful than it. So I think that the Sony fanboys never really had a chance to beat their chests about how powerful the PS4 Pro was, because they always knew that Xbox One X was coming to take their lunch money. It's not like PS4 Pro just existed for a year and Sony didn't have any counterpart. Then they would have been out there beating their chest like, oh, look at our super powerful PS4 Pro. This just blows away Xbox. Because they knew what was coming. The rumors and the actual announcement of Scorpio came so quickly after the rumors and announcement of PS4 Pro that it never had time to be the most powerful console, really, in people's minds. It did on store shelves, because it's been on store shelves for almost a year now as the most powerful console. But this is the same thing that happened, like, if you ever want a historical history of how not necessarily power kills, but hype of it kills, Sega Dreamcast. I mean, I lived through that era, and I can tell you that what killed the Sega Dreamcast was hype over the PlayStation 2. And a lot of games ran better and looked better on Dreamcast than PlayStation 2. I'm not bullshitting, but the hype about PS2 and how powerful it was kind of killed Dreamcast. And it was coming, it was coming. The games on PS2 are going to look so good, this and that. It was hype. And so I can personally, tell you, hype of power is what drives almost, a lot of marketing and stuff. So, yeah, did Microsoft bring some of this on themselves with their touting of 4K? Yes. But are the intentions of those bashing them and trying to set up like every game is not 60 FPS on Xbox One X? It's a failure. If you know anything about tech or anything at all about games, that's a false premise. Okay, let me put it this way. All these guys that don't like the Xbox One X are going to be hyping the shit out of PS5 as soon as it comes along, right? Because we're going to presume, if it isn't a huge fail on Sony's part, we're going to presume PS5, I don't think it's coming for 2 to 3 years. It won't be on store shelves for a minimum of 2 years. It ain't coming in fall 2018, or we'd already have to be hearing about it. So that leaves fall 2019, 2 years from now, as the absolute earliest you could see it. And I don't even think it's coming then. So that would leave the most realistic possibility as like fall 2020, or the earliest realistic possibility is fall 2020. And it could slip beyond that. I could see it coming in fall 2020. I'm not saying it will, but anyways, so that's 3 years that Xbox One X is going to be the most powerful thing on store shelves. But what was I going on about? Oh yeah. Okay, here's my point. The Sony fanboy is going to be hyping the shit out of PS5. Let's assume, like I said, huge fail on Sony's part if it's not, that it's going to be at least somewhat more powerful than Xbox Scorpio, right? So they're going to be hyping the shit out of it as the most powerful thing. It's going to be doing computer CGI level graphics. That's what all these Blockbuster Tech and whoever the hell he is, Blockbuster, whatever his name is, that guy is going to be hyping. And you know what? Here's what I can guarantee you right now. A lot of games on it are going to be 30 FPS. Anybody who doesn't know that a lot of games are always going to be 30 FPS doesn't understand technology. Because it's always going to be a trade-off. You can have 60 frames per second, or you can have better graphics. There may be some point in the future where graphics reach such a point of diminishing returns that it's just a no-brainer to do 60 FPS all the time. But we certainly haven't hit it yet, and I'm skeptical we ever will, really. So what does that mean? You're going to have 30 FPS games forever. The PS5, the PlayStation 6 is going to have 30 FPS games, people. It might be 100 teraflops, It's going to have 30 FPS games. I would stake my life on that, So think, you're an idiot, basically. You're not sophisticated. You don't understand video games at all. If you thought Xbox One X was going to do every game, or even most games, at 60 FPS. Look at the precious PS4. How many games? what kind of 60 FPS, the PS fanboys like tear down the Xbox One X, they think the PS4 is the most powerful system ever created. And they sat up there and hyped Uncharted 4 graphics to hell and back, and Horizon. How much hype did Horizon Zero Dawn's graphics get? You could have fixed global warming with the amount of comments on YouTube about how amazing, the same old shit Sony fanboys been doing for 15 years, hyping the shit out of graphics. That's all they do. Uncharted. Oh, I remember that back in PS3 days. Back in, that's what their whole life is based on. Is trying to knock down Xbox by proclaiming PlayStation has better graphics. If you could sum it up in one sentence, Uh, so yeah. And how many of those games are 60 FPS? That's Horizon Zero Dawn 60 FPS. Oh, sure isn't it 30 FPS? Is Drive Club the signature racing game on PlayStation? Is that, they were hyping that up? Oh, the best graphics ever. Oh, look at the rain. Oh, the weather. Oh, how many FPS was that game? Oh, yeah, it was 30. I forgot. All these Sony games are 30. Uncharted. Oh, how many FPS? Uncharted 4 on PlayStation 4, PlayStation 4 Pro. How many? Somebody remind me how many FPS was that game? Oh yeah, it was 30 FPS. That's right. I forgot. So it's okay for all these Sony games, and Sony is so powerful. It's, no peer. Look at the incredible graphics. So powerful PlayStation. But it can't do, if you put an objective metric, like measuring frame rates, so we can go out there and with certain software measure. Sony doesn't excel. They're not objectively better than anybody else. They deliver a bunch of 30 FPS games, and their fanboys just drool over them all day long. And I'll tell you what, I've always said that 30 F. There's a couple genres where 60 FPS I don't give a shit because I don't play these games competitively or care that much about them, these genres. But there's a few genres where you really supposedly need 60 FPS. A multiplayer FPS like Call of Duty is 1A, example 1A, and example 1B is driving games. For whatever reason, people seem to think they're, I don't play them much, but it's said that to have a good driving game, you need 60 FPS to get the reaction times and whatever, and the smooth flow. So Drive Club was in one of those genres where you actually need 60 FPS, and it wasn't even 60 FPS, And I'll tell you another thing, just by that, Sony is setting, if you do a game at 30 FPS, you can do better graphics. Drive Club looked great, yeah. It was 30 FPS. And you want to compare it to, let's say, Forza 6 on the Xbox One, which also looks great. Forza 6 on the Xbox One is it's twice as hard to make your game 60 FPS. That's how it works. You're driving 60 frames versus 30 frames. It's twice as much load on the GPU. Put Drive Club at 60 FPS and let's see how it looks. It wouldn't have looked that good. Fact. Put Uncharted 4 at 60 FPS and Sony knows that. That's why all these games are 30 FPS. So the point of all this, once again, this video is starting to run long, but the point is to hold up. The short and to the sweet point of this video is, whatever PS4 Pro can do, Xbox One X can do better, and that's what matters. If PS4 Pro can do a certain game at checkerboard 4K at 30 FPS, Xbox One X can do that same game. They can either raise the resolution. If it's GPU limited, they can raise the frame rate. The CPU is the limiter in a lot of cases. And the Xbox One X CPU is not a lot more powerful than the PS4 Pro. It's a 2.3 gigahertz instead of 2.1. So it's, at least it's better than PS4 Pro. I'm glad they covered that base, but it's only like 10% better. So you're not working miracles there. And it's the same architecture, basically. Jaguar, I guarantee you, no matter what Microsoft says, they try to put it's a custom CPU core. No, it's a Jaguar, and you just don't want to say it's a Jaguar, Which, same for Sony, they don't want to admit, because everybody knows Jaguar CPUs are not that powerful. So yeah, it's faster than PS4 Pro, but it's not enough to take you from 30 to 60 on all the CPU limited games out there. So so the point of this is that if you have any sophistication, don't set up this disingenuous false idea that, oh, everything was supposed to be 60 FPS and 4K on Xbox One X and it's a failure. Bullshit. Don't. What about your PS4 Pro? What about your precious PS4 that you were touting as the most powerful thing since sliced bread until the PS4 Pro came along? Where's all the 1080 60 games on that? All these games you hype up like Horizon that are 1080 30. You little jokesters and all your checkerboard shit. Here's the point. Like I said, here's what matters, Rich, and all you guys. The Xbox One X is better than the PS4 Pro at everything, period. If the PS4 Pro can run a game at 4K, Xbox One X can run it at 4K with better graphics. If a PS4 Pro has to run a game at checkerboard 4K, maybe some games Xbox One X can run at native 4K. It'll be in its toolbox. You see Forza 7. Look at this. I'm big on... well, I guess I'll make that a separate video. But look at this 4K... I pulled this up. Look at this game. Rich wants to focus on these games that aren't 4K. Look at this 4K Forza footage on Digital Foundry. Like, holy smokes, this looks nice. Especially, I turned it up to 4K to get the maximum clarity. Like, yikes, it looks nice. So smooth. Look at this. Look at this. Am I saying it looks just leaps and bounds above Drive Club? No, I'm a realist. It doesn't. But this is driving 8 times the load as Drive Club. Because 4K is 4 times the pixels of 1080p. And 60 FPS is 2 times the graphics load of 30 FPS. That's probably just buffering. I was going to say, my PC can't handle. I got a beefy rig. I'm sure it can handle 4K 60. But let me turn it down a little since I think it's probably a buffering bandwidth problem. But yeah, look at this. I mean, this looks gorgeous. Like I said, is it head and shoulders above Drive Club? No. But it's driving 8 times the load. This is like somebody beating up somebody else with 3 hands tied behind their back. This is not a fair comparison to Drive Club. Drive Club wishes it could do 60 FPS, let alone 4K, So, yeah. So the point here is... again, that the driving point of this video is that Xbox One X can do everything PS4 Pro can do better, and that is what is important. Rich and all these people are going to try to distract you from what's important. And Rich is hardly the worst Xbox hater. He falls in that category of generally biased towards Sony, but he's fairly reasonable about it. Not like Blockbuster Bond or whatever that idiot is. And a lot of these guys and on the NeoGaf scumbags. Look at this. I mean, nice. Like, this has got me jazzed for 4K and getting a new 4K TV and stuff. So, yeah. Did Microsoft deserve a little bit of the crap? Yes. But, point to remember is that whatever PS4 Pro can do, Xbox One X can do better. That's the point to shove back in these Sony's fanboy face and remind them every chance you get. Because that's what's really their kryptonite, It doesn't matter that Xbox One X can't do 60 FPS 4K in every game. It matters that it can do better than PS4 Pro in every game. And that's what's going to kill PS4 Pro. And that's what they know is going to kill PS4 Pro. And that's why they're already hyping PS5. And that's why they're running scared everywhere you find the little rats in the corners of the internet. Trying to make their little videos bashing Xbox One X and their little gaff posts about Xbox One. They're scared, and rightfully so. They know what's coming. They know that Xbox One X is going to beat them in sales if they don't come out with PS5. Not right away. It's not like it's going to just dominate right away, but over time it will. It will dominate. It already is dominating the conversation, What came out of E3 that people are talking about? It doesn't matter what people say. They're not talking about Days Gone. Rich is talking about Xbox One X. NeoGaf is talking about Xbox One X. That's what matters. Hardware power, not software. I've always said that. I wanted to take on another little comment Review Tech made. He said, he said something like, he was reading this Microsoft comment where they said, this is designed for the premium gamer that wants the absolute best experience. No. And he said, no, I'm sorry, those guys are on PC. And then he just continued on with whatever else he was talking about. No, Review Tech, they're not. Okay, that's another just such a falsehood. First of all, PC is You want to know what PC really is? It's Microsoft Windows. It's Windows 10. It's Microsoft. So I find it funny, all these people that want to hype PC as if it's some kind of independent thing. That's why they want to hype it. The fanboys that hate Xbox always want to bring up PC at certain points to, like, now you'll probably hear way more of it now because Xbox One is the most powerful console. So they'll start, oh, I'm going to get the superior PC version. You're going to hear tons of that now. But I just find it so funny that all these Sony fanboys want to hype up PC, and it's Microsoft. You're helping Microsoft, you idiots. You may not be if you buy a game on Steam, you may not be directly giving money to Microsoft, but you're helping them because as long as Windows has the gaming ecosystem that's way above Mac, that's a big selling point for it, and it does, And you're helping the install base, when everybody in the world's on Windows, that helps Microsoft, and you're on Windows playing these PC games, And you bought Windows or a PC with Windows pre-installed to play these games. Guess what? Who got pocketed that money, So I find it funny, all these people, PC, I like to refer to it, just to get into the fanboy skin, as something like, I'll say like Windows 10 or Microsoft Windows PC or something. Because, boy, that just hits them right where it hurts. They hate that, boy. If I'm replying to a comment on YouTube or something, I'll remind them, hey, it's Microsoft Windows, or it's Microsoft Windows 10 or whatever, whatever. Because they want to say PC because they hate Microsoft, and they want to put it out there as it's not Xbox or whatever. When they want to use it like that, like I said, like they'll say, oh, all these games are available on PC. Why would I buy an Xbox One? It's like, okay, give your money to Microsoft Windows instead of Xbox One. You're not hurting Microsoft, moron. I should definitely make a separate video about that because it's its own important topic. And I also think it's funny that there's gonna be a lot of people now. Oh, the PC version is superior to this weakling Xbox One X version, where they weren't saying that about the PS4 Pro and stuff. But and I'll be like, okay, so the number one version of the game is on a PC, and the number two best version of the game is on Xbox One X. So, if you want the third place version, yeah, go with Sony. But it can't even get in the top two anymore. Not only is Sony not the most powerful, they're not even in the top two. But they're third in power with PS4 Pro. But oh yeah, so he says, well, no, the gamers that want the best are on PC. Bull fucking shit, Rich. And it's so obvious. Some of them maybe, but they are PC. Console is not a substitute for PC, and vice versa. That's why consoles exist. If it was all about, they offer a ease of play and simplicity. And I personally prefer by far to game on PC. I love sitting back on my couch. I got my 55-inch 1080p, soon to be 4K for Xbox One X. I got my 55-inch 1080p big-ass TV, my subwoofer in there. I got a Vizio soundbar / wireless subwoofer. And, by any rich person standard, that's all not shit. But to me, I love it. It's great sound, the subwoofer, and the I get booming, and I got the 55. Again, to a rich person or something, it's nothing. But to me, I love it. Point is, if you're sitting here gaming on PC, yeah, you can set up subwoofers, you can set up big. You're hunched over in front of at best like a 27-inch monitor. You probably got little dinky speakers. Yeah, there's good speakers on the PC, but I'd venture to say a lot more people are going to have decent sound systems on their TV, a sound bar and a subwoofer or something like that than on PC. Go on and on. Like, I'm a gaming nut, and I've played 2,500 hours of Destiny in the last 3 years, and I love console, and I just don't like PC. I don't like the whole experience. You're sitting there hunched over a desk. I hate it. You're sitting there with the mouse, click, click, click. It's annoying. I love sitting back on my couch with the controller in my hand. Plus, people will never admit this, but the controller is a much better control scheme for many games than mouse and keyboard. Probably most. Think of a Batman beat 'em up. Do you want to play that on a mouse and keyboard, really? No, you want to play that on a fucking controller. Fucking controller is vastly superior to mouse and keyboard in that genre of third-person beat 'em up. Do you want to play a Mario or anything like that, a platformer on mouse and keyboard? Fuck no. A controller beats the. What about a 3D fighting game or even a 2D fighting game, Street Fighter or Tekken? Oh, controller is much better again. There's almost nothing that mouse and keyboard is superior at, but it's always touted as, oh, it's the superior control. No, it's superior for one genre, granted a big one, and that is FPS. And it's also much superior for like RTS because of all the buttons you have and the pinpoint control and stuff. Yeah, RTS. RTS is like a dead genre anyway. Who gives a fuck about RTS? So those are like the two genres that mouse and keyboard are better in, FPS and RTS. That's it. Everything else controller is far superior. Granted, you can with them. It's not necessarily just plug and play, but yeah, you can play with your Xbox controller on PC. So that is a true point. But yeah, I venture to say a lot of people don't. I mean, the default on PC is mouse and keyboard, and most people play with the default in anything. Most people when they get a new TV, there's that 1% that's going to calibrate it, and there's the 90% that are just going to leave the settings the way they are out of the box for the rest of their lives. It's the same on most people on PC are playing with their mouse and keyboard. They're never going to bother to hook up a controller. Now, some may, but it's not the default, and what the default is king. And besides that, I don't know that every single game has controller support on PC. But anyways, that's just one aspect of the fact, Rich, that we have ample evidence. Like, why are we talking? Why does PS4 Pro exist then? If the people who want more power are all on PC, and then want the best frame rates and the best power, they're all on PC. Why aren't you knocking PS4 Pro? Why aren't you knocking even PS4? Why do consoles even exist? Why do they even? They could have just kept Xbox 360 because after all, why did Sony come out with the PS4? Because PS3 was fine, right? The people who want the best graphics are just going to go to PC anyway. Why do they need better graphics on PS4? Do you see how stupid and self-evidently stupid the argument is that we don't need better graphics on consoles, or that all the people who want better graphics are on PC, or even the people that want the best graphics are all on PC? No, they're not. There's a huge PC and console are not substitutes for each other. There's some interplay there and there's some substitution there, but they're not direct substitutes for each other. Your average person wants to just buy a console, plug it into his TV, have everything he needs for $300, $400, $500, be done. He doesn't have to match his motherboard to his GPU. He doesn't have to, he or she, a lot of women game too. And not to be sexist, but they're going to even less want to mess around. They don't want to mess around with the graphics card drivers. They don't want to mess around with constant updates. And, I got to find out exactly what kind of DRAM to put in my system. Because if you go buy a pre-built computer, at the very least, you pretty much got to drop a new GPU in it. And anybody serious about it's going to build their own, And all that takes like technical know-how and stuff. 80% of people in the world are never going to fucking pop their PC box open to put a new GPU in it, So there's a vast amount of people that PCs are not substitutes for consoles, okay? I have a gaming PC. I build my own PCs for years. Going back, over 10 years, I build my own PCs. How many people in the world do that? I'm in the 1% of people build their. I go on Newegg and I buy the motherboard, and I buy the RAM I want, and I buy the CPU I want, and it gets here and I plug all the little fucking wires into my case that makes my power button work, And one by one, the reset switch, the power switch, I wire those. I'm that nut that builds my own fucking PC. Like I assume Review Tech did. But we're the 1%, And I still don't fucking game on PC. It's kind of weird and stupid. I like to have a gaming capable PC at my disposal. I totally admit this doesn't make sense. But I don't actually game anymore at all. I used to some in the past. Because in the past I had cool PC games like fucking Half-Life. I was around for that. I'm old. Uh, oh, Half-Life was amazing, you know, but they don't have shit like that anymore, to be honest. When I see PC gaming these days, it's a fucking wasteland of like shitty graphics, like Twitch-centric, like Counter-Strike Go, like throw up in my mouth, you know? Like Steam is a fucking wasteland to me. Steam most played list. It's a fucking disaster. You know, like what are you people, what are you PC gamers doing? You know, PCs always like to set themselves up as elite. Look at the garbage they play. Fucking Counter Strike. How fucking old is that game? It looks like it's a fucking Nintendo game. You know, the graphics look like a fucking iPhone. Take that, PC gamers. That's your number one most played game. Fucking Counter Strike. It's only 50 fucking years old, and you're playing in your fucking mom's basement, and you're fucking 40. You know, grow up. So I find that funny too, and I always, the reason these videos are freaking 40 minutes like this one, I get on so many tangents. I don't stick to the original point, but yeah, I should make separate videos for all these tangents I go on. I probably will. I need to make a separate video about the sorry state of PC gaming and the sorry. I forgot what the main one I was talking about earlier was. Oh, how when you're PC gaming, you're actually supporting Microsoft. I'm definitely probably gonna make a video about that one because that's a good one. But yeah, PC gaming is basically what PC gaming to me is nowadays. You're playing like State of Decay. I don't even know what that game is except the graphics are ugly as fucking shit. You know, you're playing all this shit, the Friday the 13th game. You're playing all this Twitch oriented, or you're playing some shitty League of Legends. You know, okay, if you're a girl and you want to fucking play League of Legends or MOBAs or, okay, cool. But it's not for me, you know. And you can play console games like the Assassin's Creeds of the world on PC, but, it's a small niche. It's not what most people do on PC. Most people play MMOs and these twitchy zombie games, DayZ, H1Z1, this kind of shit it's all in beta forever, and it's all buggy as shit, and all has horrible graphics. And it's probably all fun as shit, that's why it's dominating, but I can do a whole another video on that, but my point is PC gaming is not a substitute for console gaming and vice versa. That's why consoles exist. And to say that everybody who wants the best graphics and stuff is on PC, well, why did they come out with PS4? Why not just say, well, you know what? All the people who want the best graphics on PC, we never need to add more power to our console ever again. Why didn't Sony do that? Let's see how that goes over for them. And Microsoft can just keep making more powerful consoles. And let's see how that goes over for Sony. Do you see how stupid that is? And do you see that there's people like I said, I have a gaming PC. I recently built it maybe about a year ago. I just built it to update it. I had I've always had one, but I needed an update bad. And about a year or two ago, I don't even remember, I built one with I didn't want to spend the bank because I know that I don't PC game really. I just like to have the capability. I do. I fired up, I think, Gears of War 4 on it, and it's not like I never touch it, but I almost never do. But yeah, I built it with the i5 6600K and quad core, 16 gigabytes DDR3, which I keep meaning to bump to 32, but I haven't gotten around to. And I put a RX 480 GPU in there, which is pretty good, especially because I got a 1080p monitor, so it can run everything at high settings to ultra right now, So, and it's 8 gigabyte RAM on that RX 480. That's nice. So it's not exactly a beast PC like a rich guy like ReviewTech is making the big YouTube bucks has. Yeah, but the thing is, I'm not going to spend a lot of money on my PC, period, because I know that I don't use it that much. But I do like to have the capability, at least, to screw around and run PC games. I want the capability, even if I don't use it, if that makes any sense. I used to, that's the thing. I used to game a little, at least some on PC, but I just don't anymore. And I'm a nerd. I'm the 1%. And I love games. And I played 2,500 hours of Destiny. And I fucking do not game on my PC, And I far prefer the console experience. So, and I'm buying an Xbox One X day one. So stop with this shit, Rich, of, The gamers who want the best graphics are on PC. Okay, then what's the point of PS4 Pro? Did you say that same thing for PS4 Pro? Did you bash PS4 Pro with the same thing? Oh, here we got the PS4 Pro that Sony comes out with, and oh, it's nobody wants that. The gamers who want the most power are on PC. You know, I bet you didn't use that same logic for PS4 for Sony. So yeah, it's a false logic for sure. Anyways, this video is down at the 40-minute mark, way longer than I expected. But I mean, let me just get back to the original point. The thrust is that everything PS4 Pro can do, Xbox One X can do better, and that's what matters. Not whether every game is 401k and 401k. Not that every game is 4K and 60 FPS, because that's not realistic. PS5, PS6 is not going to have every game be 4K and 60 FPS. Well, they'll probably have every game be 4K by then. I'll give them that. They're not going to have every game be 60 FPS. Anyways, thanks for watching.